You're listening to Table for Five with Felicia and Annette, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good Monday morning,
Good
everyone.
Morning. Good
Mon-
royal morning.
Oh, wow. She has already started. Wow.
I'm still on the royal
like
morning.
literally 2 seconds
I'm
in.
so sorry. I haven't shaken it off yet.
Don't shake it off. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. Good Monday morning, everyone. If you're wondering where you are, welcome to Table for Five, here with Felicia and Annette. Today is Monday, May 21st, 2018.
Yeah, wow.
I know. May is like almost
It's already
over.
going
It's
through.
over and
Yeah.
done.
That's crazy.
It's over and done. But this morning we have a full table. We welcome everyone to our full table this morning. And you, the listening, viewing audience, will always have a seat here at this very table here on Table for Five. We have a great show for you today.
Yes.
Like, we're going to get into hot topics and then we'll get into the show because we probably are going to need 2 shows for this show.
Yeah, we need every
this
minute
topic.
we can get with them.
Yes. But before we get started, I want to give the number for everyone to call in. Where is the number?
818-570-5085.
I'm like, where is it? Oh, it's down at the bottom. Okay. Yes, 818-570-5085. Call in if you have questions, if you have been through the surrogacy process. I guess I didn't say what the name of our show is. Yes. We're going to be talking to a surrogate agency. Today we're talking about surrogacy in its capacity, the different, all the different aspects of what it means to be a surrogate, to have a surrogate, to decide to do a surrogate, to expand your family. And we're on Facebook Live right now. So also, if you guys don't want to call in and you're at your desk watching, listening, and you want to just type in a question, let's do that too. We'll be on there to answer your questions.
And like always, we like to let everybody know how to find us during the week when we're not on LA Talk Radio. You can catch us on all our social media platforms, which is Twitter at Table for Five, Instagram at Table for Five, Facebook, obviously Table for Five at Felicia and Annette. We have our YouTube channel, which is Table for Five TV, which you can catch all our previous shows, and what I like to call our one-stop shop, which is our website, which is table-for-5.com. And there you can learn a little bit about us. You can see pictures, where we've been, what we're doing. We got some new pictures up. I don't know, all our little red carpet appearances are up there.
Oh,
I know, how fun. And also what I want to let you know, if you want to advertise with us, if you have a business, an event, anything you'd like to promote, you can, there is an availability to advertise with us. There's a little tab, you click on it, and someone very professional will contact you and give you all the information you need to know about that.
Absolutely.
So that's that.
Yes.
I know.
So let's jump into hot topics. I don't want to waste too much time. She is like over.
Well, do we want to get the sad news out, or the, like, how do we want to?
I guess bad news first, but I want to invite our guests to jump in. If you guys have anything to say on the topic or topics that we're going to be talking about, please feel free to just jump on in, chime on in, because this one will just like run it.
I will. But we do want, well, let's just do what's the obvious news in the United States of America is what happened this past week, yet again, mass high school shooting. 10 people were killed. Oh, I believe it's 8 students and 2 adults, a teacher, and I don't know if it's an officer or somebody like that. In any event, it's just happening too often, like Julie said, and it's just, we cannot become desensitized by it. We have to be appalled. We have to be shocked. We have to get mad every time this happens. I mean, I heard on the news that this is our 22nd school shooting.
22nd that people have been injured.
It's incredible in a matter of 5 months. Like, it doesn't even make sense in a school environment. And so we want to express our sincerest condolences to the families who are grieving. I mean, some of these, they have graduation coming up. I don't know if they had it. Everything is just like a standstill right now. It's
a very busy time of year for high schoolers, for people who have children in school, just in general. End of the year, you're thinking, you're getting ready for summer, and then a tragedy like this happens, and then it makes parents evaluate, well, I'm going to speak for myself, reevaluate,
Yeah.
like, do I send my kids to
Yeah.
school? I mean, I have to say,
Every parent, you're not
Friday,
the only one.
I was driving around where my son has decided to go to high school. Shout out to Alamany High School. And it was very odd and interesting because we're driving around and I was like, oh, there's a Starbucks down the street. That's kind of cool. You know, if you come out and maybe I have to, you know, I can pick you up there one day or something like that. But then he also noticed right away, he was like, oh, there's a police station. That's really good, Mommy, in case there's a shooting. This is what my son says to me. And I'm like, wow, that's really good, though.
That's the new
I
reality.
felt like, okay, well, that's great. It was a police station right there and a hospital right across the street and a fire station.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is a really great pick.
Yeah. Well, I was
It's
sharing
kinda
with
awful.
someone also that our sons, you know, both of our kids are in private school, and my son is in high school. And with the last shooting, the Parkland shooting, we have on our campus, including middle school, high school, 12 armed guards.
Oh, wow.
12.
All the time.
All the time, circling the school. And they had a meeting with the parents and they told us they're armed, and then we have regular school security that kind of walks around and, you know, mingles with the kids, but they are 12 armed officers. These are retired police officers, part-time officers. And
are they just posted? They have like different posts?
they have different posts in the morning and in the afternoon, and during the day they walk around school campus. So they're everywhere. My son was saying they're everywhere. Like you look around and, you know, there's one, and then you walk to class and there's one, and it's men and women. They mix it up, and someone says, oh, that's great. I'm like, I don't know if that's great or I should be terrified. Like it's a mixed bag of how should I feel about that.
Yeah.
Because if something, God forbid, should happen, everybody has a gun. You know, it's like the idea that everybody's gonna be shooting. You know, it's a little. It could be chaotic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't
little
know how I feel.
war-zone-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But there's a lot of students, and you want to make
It's a
sure
big
that they're
campus,
protected. Yeah, it is a big
And it's an
campus.
open campus, and I think that's why. But it's.
I think we have to do something.
new
I
day.
think we have to do something differently. They're going to continue to happen until change is actually made. And I'm really tired. I mean, I do send my thoughts and my prayers and my condolences to the family that have lost children, but I'm so tired of politicians and people in power that actually have the ability to do stuff, sending thoughts and prayers. Like, stop with the thoughts and prayers and put in some legislation. Let's change some things. Let's do some real things and get up off your ass and stop talking about it and send in thoughts and prayers. I'm done with it. You know, we're using our platform to however we can use it, and I encourage everyone that has a platform. You don't have to have a show or be a celebrity, but start in your school, start you know, in your neighborhood, in your family, at the damn dinner table. Let's talk to your kids and you know, find out what's going on in their lives, how they're feeling, if they're being bullied, if they're, you know, because I think that's where it starts. It starts at home. It starts at home with being able to have that communication and learning the communication within your own family and being able to communicate then in the bigger world. So we got to do something different.
So we hope that this is not something that we'll have to talk about yet
continuously.
Again.
Yes.
But we're going a hard
Shift,
turn, a real hard turn.
Swing it left.
Well, the connection is love, you know.
Thank
so we're going
you.
to talk about love now.
Yes. So I'm sure everybody, I mean, 29 million Americans, I believe.
Oh, wow. Was it really that many?
Watched the royal wedding.
Did everyone here watch it?
Absolutely.
No.
I slept.
I didn't watch it live.
No.
Did you watch it live or taped?
Taped.
Taped.
Yeah.
Live?
Taped.
I didn't tape it, but
Guys, you had to be in the moment. So
the moment was very early in the morning.
it was early. Well, can I just say this was one of the funniest parts. So I you know, for whoever follows me on Insta Story knows, and I went to extra mile, but I didn't
went
realize.
across the pond.
I went across the pond. Really, I didn't realize the Eastern Standard Time, that it was 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, so it was 1, 2
It
o'clock?
was 1 for us.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I could have done that. I could have done that.
Yeah, but
so late, right?
I thought I was going to be able to go to bed, then get up and have my little thing.
Okay, no.
That never happened. I had to stay up. In the Insta Story, I start screaming because I'm like, wait, the wedding's in 2 hours? 2 hours! And then somebody pointed out, yeah, it's Eastern Standard, not 4 a.m. your time. So yeah. Needless to say, I stayed up for 23 hours. And I watched everything. Everything. It was beautiful. It was just magical. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
The ceremony was beautiful.
Yes, yes.
She
Her
looked.
dress was beautiful.
dress-
She is beautiful.
She's-
Let's just talk
yeah.
about her.
Yeah.
She's just a beautiful. She just wakes up out in the morning. And, what
Yeah,
did you
well,
say?
I said she got up and said, "Oh, let me go get married today.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get married today," and just
yeah.
like just went like this and
Put
just
some
put her
lip
hair in a
gloss
little
on.
bun. That's the only criticism I have about her. I
Why?
felt like the hair could have been done up just a little more.
Oh,
Just
listen, my
well,
hair
no,
is
you
my
know
little
why?
musty whatever, and shout out to
But I
Meghan
have to
Markle
say, you know
today.
why I say that? Because when you see the other pictures that they took after the wedding, whatever their wedding pictures, you see that somebody did her hair. Her hair was done. It was like pulled out to the front. Yeah, if you look at the
With
official.
the veil and stuff like that?
Yeah, like the official wedding pictures where they take with the family and the kids, and they did her hair. So I'm wondering,
When did they take those pictures?
That's what I was wondering.
after the wedding, maybe. It was after, because there's some pictures where her hair's back in a bun, and then there's some pictures where her hair's done.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
You think they did it before?
That's what I was thinking.
But
It
he
might have been
supposedly
before.
never saw the dress.
No,
though.
I think it was after, because you know why? Because, listen, I was royal wedding psycho, because she changed later for the evening reception, and her hair was that of the pictures.
Wow, interesting.
Oh,
And then she had that Stella McCartney gown that was like incredible. Did you
Yeah.
see
It's
that?
beautiful.
It
It's
was
beautiful.
just
We were
ridiculous.
talking about, was it something different with the back, or like was there
I
some
think it was
crazy?
an open back, but I've not seen a picture.
Yeah, well,
of it.
I didn't see the back, but she was sleeveless because they said she couldn't have
Beautiful.
worn that dress in the church, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why she had to wear something more conservative. But yeah, so I noticed in the picture, if you go on their royal, because I now follow the Kensington Royal pictures.
She does. Lord
On
Jesus.
Instagram, and you see like, oh wait, her hair's different. Like, oh, when they did the family picture, her hair's like the way it was in the church. And then when she did the pictures with the little girls, and then with him, she does her picture with him, her hair's fixed.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So I was wondering, I'm like, did the hairdresser not show up?
Oh, well, there was a 15-minute delay. Did you see
Oh, I didn't
that?
know that.
You were watching the coverage. How did you not know
Because they
that?
were covering, everybody was moving. It
Oh.
didn't.
I watched ABC. I watched
No,
the
I
repeat of it.
watched BBC World News.
Oh,
I kept it very real. I wanted the whole
Well,
British.
their camera angle was the best.
Yes,
Yeah,
right? See,
absolutely.
yes. And I taped it. It was amazing. Like they had the camera, like the
Oh,
camera
okay.
in the
Yeah.
church.
Well, they didn't tell you then that there was a
No.
so she at like I think it was like 10:40ish or 10:45 something like that. They got word that it was being pushed from 11 to 11:15. She wasn't going to be ready until 11:15.
Maybe
so they
her
were all
hairdresser didn't
like,
show up.
Oh my gosh! Like apparently that was like a really big deal.
Yeah, 'cause
because
everything's
there,
down.
everything is like down to
Yes.
the second. They're like, okay, and go and turn and
Yes,
turn.
yes.
So the news people were like, how much of ruckus is this gonna? And they were like, well, we don't know, but I'm sure they'll get it all fixed and ironed out. And I was like, wow. So she
Maybe
ended up
that was
coming
the
out.
hair issue.
She came. She
That would
ended up
explain it.
leaving the house at like 11:19, and that was even like 4 minutes extra late. And people were like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Of course, the half black people."
CP time.
When you deal with brown folks, you gotta be late in some kind of capacity. I was like, "This is not a good look."
Oh my gosh!
So,
oh my
yeah,
gosh!
so I thought
So maybe
that
that
was
was
funny.
it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it because it was a little messy. It was a little like I wanted to go through the TV and like fix her hair. Like, oh, okay. But she looked stunning. The
Yeah.
veil for me was everything. That veil was.
Yeah, and the significance. They talked
Yes,
about the significance of the
yes,
veil
yes,
and,
yes.
how it had like.
What I liked
embroidered
about BBC is that they let. I was watching CNN at one point, and they were talking too much. You know, like talking over what was going on. I'm like, shut up! It's just the moment happened. I don't need a commentary on what's going on. And so when Queen Oprah showed up, you would have thought the world was gonna. I mean, that was the funniest thing
I
ever.
didn't like her hat. I did
Well,
not
did
like
you
her
hear
hat.
about her whole outfit mishap?
No, but I
She
don't
put it
like
on
her hat.
Instagram. She obviously didn't know that you're not supposed to wear cream to the royal wedding, and her outfit, her original dress was cream.
Well, yeah, you're not supposed to wear white to anybody's damn wedding. Hello.
So she said that she contacted Stella McCartney,
Mm-hmm.
and that pink dress she wore, they made it in 24 hours for her.
Oh, wow.
Because when she got to London, they're like, you can't wear that. That's not protocol. That's not. And she's like, I don't have another dress. And so
and
they
they're
had.
like, Oprah, you better
So
go
for
to
like
TJ
maybe
Maxx.
$25,000 later, I'm sure Stella McCartney put together a lovely dress. I think she looked a little matronly to me, a little old.
I think it maybe was the hat. I did not like that hat.
It was like a church lady hat. I was feeling,
That's what I heard was people said that was a proper church hat.
Yeah, that was church lady hat. It was really church lady. I thought she was going to come out of her seat when the minister was talking, the Episcopalian minister. She was ready to jump out of her seat. I'm like, oh my gosh, if she gets up, this will be the end of this wedding. They will be like, you are no longer invited to any of these weddings.
You are no longer invited to this country.
That's my disclaimer. But it was lovely. It was beautiful.
Yes.
Congratulations to them both. It was a nice break of all like the hard news that we've been dealing with in the United States.
Yes.
I was just surprised, and this is my last comment, that CNN had their entire anchor team there. I mean, Anderson Cooper was covering this thing. I was like,
Anderson was not gonna miss this wedding.
It was very extra. Don Lemon was there. I was like, really? So it was nice to have that moment of how just take a break.
Yeah.
You know, take a mental break of all the chaos America's been in.
Yeah, and that's why I couldn't take a break because I was very busy watching children this weekend. Shout out to my sister. Love you. And her two little girls. I got the little girls this weekend. I've got two boys, teenage boys. Listen, we are in the throngs of puberty. I do not know if you all have teenagers, but listen, my perimenopausal issues and puberty, it's just not a great household right now.
No.
I don't know if I want to cry or kill or I don't know. It's like a combination of like you put emotions in a jar and just shake it up, and it's just bad.
I know. I went through it. I know.
And then we had two little girls, so that was a nice break. I had two little girls, 3, 4, and 7, about to be 8. So there was some estrogen in the house. I was like, oh, this is nice. And they were all like, oh, is she a prince? Like we were kind of sort of watching it. I had a meeting, but we were, it was on the TV, and they were very like, oh, I was like, she's a princess. And they were like, she's a princess. And I was like, yes. And they were like, oh. And my boys were like, whatever. Like they did not care. I was like, this is so fun.
Yes.
To have little girls. And like everything was exciting. And we finally watched The Greatest Showman.
Oh, you
and
did?
They were like loving it and like singing
really
all the
good.
songs. And I was like, oh, this is such a breath of fresh air. But now I know that I don't want any more kids because I was exhausted. Like just giving 2 kids a bath, I was like, Jesus Christ, I remember.
Now it all came back to you.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my
And
gosh.
it made me think really quickly, and this will kind of segue into the beginning of our show. With having children and small children, when you have kids, you become very thankful for the little things. And I remember like 3 big milestones. Like the first one was when they slept through the night. I was like, oh, Jesus, hallelujah, thank God. Yes. And then when they could walk fully by themselves holding your hand. Like that moment is like angels, I think I heard, singing from the heavens because I was like, I don't have to carry you.
I know, but yours are close in age, so that
else.
that's a big deal.
And then potty training, and I mean, when you can go to the bathroom by yourself, it's just something about that. I feel like if you're out there listening, watching, or doing whatever,
it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And when you can see that, I mean, it's just those moments that you go, oh, thank God. Thank God.
One of the things that our surrogates always say is that they get the joy of being pregnant and giving birth, and then they don't have to do all those
Oh my
things.
God,
that
they're
we
like,
just
here,
talked
this
about.
is for you.
Yep.
Oh my
Go
gosh.
sleep.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Do you want me to read?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get right into our show since
Yes.
we talked about all that. And we have folks joining us, so we're really excited. So today we have 3 wonderful guests. We have the co-owners of Abundant Blessings. It is a blessing what you're doing. Abundant Beginnings, Julie Allgood and Nicole Lawson, and Julie Stromwall. But Julie Allgood and Nicole Lawson are the co-owners of Abundant Beginnings, based in Los Angeles surrogacy agency. Affords its clients both the expertise of 2 women who have a combined 8 years of both professional and personal experience in all phases of surrogacy and a unique concept of surrogacy options. They have an on-hands approach. They encourage open and steady communication between intended parents and surrogates as facilitated by the attentive care case manager.
I love that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the case managers. Yeah, I
no,
love-
but that they talk. But anyway, so here, if you want to learn more about their agency, you go to www.abcsurrogacy.com. www.abcsurrogacy.com. It'll be on our Facebook Live and on our website as well.
And if you want to join in the conversation, if you guys have some questions and you're not on Facebook and you want to call in, it's 818 570-5085 to call in.
And we want to let everybody know that Julie Stromwall, is a gestational surrogate,
Yes.
which means you've carried children for surrogate.
Twice, and I'm pregnant for a third time.
Really?
Oh, congratulations.
Do you have kids of your own?
2.
Wow.
Okay, let me do our introductory clap. So welcome.
Yeah.
You can't hear it, but you're getting an applause. We have our applause. So welcome to the show.
Yes, this is so
ladies.
exciting. Yes.
I have wanted to do this show for a very long
Yes,
time.
you have.
Yes, because I feel like there is such misinformation out there around this topic. And I feel like it's becoming a little bit more popular now because there's a lot of people in the media or
Right.
celebrities are kind of like getting into this surrogacy game, or you're seeing it more prevalent. And I want to get like good information
Yeah.
out there. I don't want this speculation. I feel like people have this, and in different parts of the country, like I feel like we're very open and knowledgeable and progressive here in Los Angeles and in this state. But I feel like the rest of the country kind of thinks that, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, my husband's going to sleep with another lady
Yeah.
and they're going to make a baby and she's going to carry that baby and then that baby's coming home with me.
This is
No.
not The Handmaid's.
Yes.
Not The Handmaid's.
Yes, this is not The Handmaid's Tale. This is not how it
Yeah.
goes. And it's just, I just think it's an amazing thing that we have the ability and the technology to do this, and it just affords people a whole new world if you want to go into this parenting situation. Yes, take a deep breath and jump right on in.
Yes.
Um,
So how did you guys know each other before the agency?
We did not.
So how did this happen?
yeah.
So I got involved in surrogacy. I had both my children by surrogates
Oh, okay.
after struggling for a number of years. And I was working in the entertainment industry when I was trying to have my first. And I figured after my first was born that I went through this for a reason. It's not a path that I would have chosen to go down, but at the same time, I had such a beautiful experience and one that I wanted to pay it forward and be able to share and communicate, because obviously with infertility, it is something that most people keep quiet and they don't talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wanted to be
And
a
why
resource
is
to
that?
others.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that there are so many people that don't want to talk about it, even with their friends? Like I feel like it's a very hard topic. People are like, yeah, I'm going to a surrogate. Like what? Like why? I don't. Why? Why do you think?
I would think for a lot of women, it's you're embarrassed. It's something that our bodies should just be able to do.
Right.
And when you can't do it the good old-fashioned way, it's like, what is going on? So it's people feel ashamed of it.
Yeah.
They
and
don't
it's
want the
frustrating.
questions, and then it's kind of like reliving the whole process over again. Why can't you? It maybe becomes a conversation of like a sad conversation.
Yeah, it's
all
a little
the time.
intrusive sometimes, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very personal, and one that a lot of people just don't want to talk about, or they just want to, it's their secret. They want to hold it in. At the same time, I think it is so important to talk about it. And once you do, you start feeling like so much better. Or if you suffer a miscarriage, I think after my first miscarriage, I realized, a friend of a friend had one, and finally people were talking about
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So I think it is really important to talk
So
about
how
it.
did you guys?
So I was working for another agency at the time, and we hired Nicole. And the agency was owned by fertility doctors in Beverly Hills, who eventually decided that they needed to just focus on their medical practice
Okay.
and not try to run an agency.
Gotcha.
And so Nicole and I approached the doctor and said, we'd love to just start our own agency. We would just take the clients we're already working
Wow.
with. And so it just flowed in.
Oh,
So
wow.
5 years now.
That's fantastic.
Actually, this month, 5
Yeah,
years.
5
Oh,
years.
Yeah,
congratulations.
5 years. We
That's
started Abundant
amazing.
Beginnings. We took all the same clients. We already had a relationship with
Sure.
Right.
doctors. We already had a positive reputation. So it just was a natural flow.
Yeah. And so you chose that agency, or they were an agency kind of at the time.
It was an agency at the time, and I just started cold calling agencies because I was like, you know what? I just want to work
Wow.
for.
Yeah.
I want
Cold
the
calling?
experience. Yeah,
Yes.
no, pretty much.
Yes,
And
because there's no guidebook.
No,
there's no
absolutely not.
this is step one. This is what you do. This
Now
is
there is
the-
at abcsurrogacy.com.
now there is. But back then there wasn't.
And
Or, yeah.
Absolutely, and there is so much misinformation out there. So for us as our agency, we really do try to educate our intended parents who come in
Yes.
about the process, as well as our surrogates who are looking
Yes.
into this. because they can Google, they can, blog, whatever they're looking at, and a lot of that information might be.
Yes, the information that, like, if you just Google surrogacy, it's crazy. Like, you get so many different spectrums of information, and it's very overwhelming. Like, just in the research for this project, I thought, gosh, if I was going through this, like, I wouldn't know where to begin. And it's such a, like, just when you do, like, looking for a mechanic or a contractor, like, that's hard enough, but you're looking for someone to start your family with, essentially. Like, you are the people that these people start their families with, is how I look at it. And carrying your baby or a baby for you, it's it's amazing to me that it hasn't been refined at this point in time.
So how do you find, okay, so you have parents that come to you and say, we would like to have how do you find surrogates?
Well,
how did you find us? That's a good question for Julie.
I Googled agencies. So I was living in Colorado at the time, and I thought I had to work with an agency in Colorado. Not true. And I applied to that agency, and I got turned down because I was breastfeeding my daughter at the time, but I was weaning her. So I thought, well, I'm going to get a head start. And my response that I got was dear, and then in parentheses it said name. They didn't even bother to put my name. They just copied and pasted. So I thought, man, I don't want to go with a big agency like that. I want to find more intimate experience, because I don't know what I'm getting into.
Right.
Was this your first time? This is when you were first
2014, yeah.
Wow.
So I was afraid. I was like, oh, well, if I go with a big one that's all over, when you Google, it's the first one you find, they got to be the best. But then I thought, well, if they can't even treat me like I'm a person, it's no good. Right. So I kept going, kept searching, kept going down the line, and like 3 or 4 pages in, I found Abundant Beginnings, and I go to the about Abundant Beginnings, and it's like there's 4 people listed, and I thought, oh, well, they seem small, and Nicole had personal experience. Julie came from another agency, and I thought, wow, this could be really great, and applied and got a call, I think like the next day. So it's been great. I mean,
and what made you decide? What made you start?
Yeah.
My best friend back in Colorado was having troubles getting pregnant. I found out actually that she was pregnant when I was pregnant with my firstborn, and she lost that baby, and it broke my heart. And I thought, this isn't fair that I can get pregnant so easily, and here there's you struggling, and I want to do something to help. So I had offered, and they politely said no, and that's okay. It's okay. They've got 2 kids of their own now.
Oh, okay.
But I really wanted to do it for them, and I had my daughter, and I told my husband when I was pregnant with my son, I told my husband, I'm going to do this someday, and he's like, okay, whatever. But
so you're married?
Yeah, married. Yes. Yeah, and then we had our daughter, and I don't know, she was probably a year, and I thought, oh, wait, I still want to do this. What am I waiting for? Google. And then I just found an agency, and I thought, well, I'm gonna do it for someone. If my friends are gonna say no, I still need to do this. So found them, and then had the baby. Told you on the way home from the hospital, I'm ready to do it again.
I said, go home and relax. Take a few months off, and then you can come back.
Wow. And so how many times have you been pregnant, a surrogate?
This is my 3rd time.
Your 3rd?
Yeah.
Oh.
3rd pregnancy or 3rd time?
5th pregnancy, 3rd surrogacy. Yeah.
So is there a limit? Do you guys go, okay?
There are requirements that each doctor follows. So yes, usually it's about 5 vaginal pregnancies that a woman can have before entering a 6th pregnancy, or 2 to 3 C-sections.
So the reproductive endocrinologists each have their own criteria of what they're looking for. So a client will come to us and they'll say, we're working with Dr. So-and-so, and we know now, oh, he wants this or she wants that. So that kind of gives us a guideline.
The doctor gives you specific requirements for the carrying mother.
Some are more flexible on how many pregnancies they've had.
So they want to know how many times the surrogate has been pregnant.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if we get an applicant who's had 8 pregnancies, they've all been healthy, unfortunately she wouldn't be able to be a surrogate because she's carried too many children, and there would be a risk to her.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, we got to go back.
Yeah, because I have a lot of emotional questions. So here.
Well, can we first define surrogacy? What does surrogacy mean, and the idea of being a surrogate?
So it's third-party reproduction is really what this is. So you're using a third party to have a child for you. So, we do gestational surrogacy. So it means that the biology of the child is not related at all to the woman who's carrying.
Which is my
And that's
question. So
different.
how
That
is
is
that
different.
possible?
So it's the IVF process. So
Okay.
they're either using the egg of the intended mother is what they're called. So Julie has intended parents that she's carrying this baby for.
Okay.
And it happens to be the biology of the mother, so it's her egg. So they went in and did an egg retrieval, and the father, they took his sperm and then they created an embryo in a little test tube.
Okay.
And then that goes into the host or
Right.
the surrogate.
Right.
So my question, but hold that thought, because I have a
Okay.
question about that. Because I've always asked, I said, but the baby's in her womb, drawing from her body, her blood, through the umbilical cord is feeding. So how is it that it won't have her DNA or any blood
Or
type?
it doesn't have her.
It's fed from the placenta. So the placenta, and I just know this because I'm fascinated with fetuses and embryos and stuff. So when the baby is implanted, or when the embryo is implanted, the sac grows with the baby in it, and then there's the yolk sac, which becomes the placenta, I believe, eventually. So eventually that all becomes the placenta, and yes, it's drawing from my blood. My blood's flowing through it, but it's completely the baby's DNA. The baby can shed its DNA into me, but I can't into the baby.
So in essence,
fascinating.
the blood that's coming through the umbilical cord, because the baby is already encased in the placenta that it came with, essentially, or that it created for itself, she's just giving it nutrients through the blood flow that's coming through the umbilical cord from her body. But yeah, that's a good way to explain it.
I guess. I don't know
They
how
they
the-
can
I
they,
don't know
she
how
can
the-
they can leave their DNA in you, but your DNA does not
Correct.
go into that baby at all.
That's fascinating.
It's almost like a little shield, or it's like in a little cocoon. Of
So then
itself.
how does that work for us as parents? Like, I'm like a natural birth, like a natural.
Your DNA has already created that baby.
Your DNA is
Yeah.
your egg.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's still your egg. It's just in a different body.
So when intended parents come to us and are looking for surrogates, it's very different than when they're looking for an egg donor, because
Right.
they are hoping that an egg donor will have some of the similar qualities that they have: brown eyes, brown hair.
Right.
When it comes to a surrogate, it absolutely doesn't matter
Right.
what they look like or what color their skin is. It doesn't
Oh, I
matter
see.
because there is no
DNA transfer.
DNA.
We're always amazed. We get the most intelligent people who will ask us, they'll look at us like, okay, so if the surrogate is brown, how come the baby won't come out
Yeah,
brown?
like that's
Like,
because
they just, and we're
Yes.
like,
Because I'm thinking
you're
you're
a-
feeding,
you're a lawyer.
you're
You should,
feeding,
you know.
But
her body's feeding
But
the
it's
blood.
It's
and-
like a straw. Just think of it like a straw. It's just a straw. The cup has nothing to do with the straw. So she's just giving the nutrients into the already, because it comes with the sac. Like the egg, when the baby is an embryo, it kind of grows into its own little armor, I guess.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
trying
have
to
to
do a
take biology
visual.
101 again.
But so you guys, was that a conscious decision that you made and decided to say, okay, we're only going to deal with people who have viable eggs and viable sperm, or
No, we don't. A lot of times people come to us and they're a little bit older. They want to try using their own biology. It doesn't always work, and so they may end up going with either an egg donor or a sperm donor, just depending on the situation. It's just not going to be Julie's as the surrogate. It's not going to be her biology.
okay.
So it can be an egg donor, just not the surrogate's biology.
And have you guys done that purposefully? Kept it separate?
Yes.
It's a different, so what that is called is traditional surrogacy, and we only handle gestational surrogacy.
Oh,
So there
okay.
are very different legal elements
Got
when
it.
it comes to traditional. So we have chosen, it's not something our agency handles, but I'm sure there are many agencies that
So-
do potentially do that.
Okay, so I have like
Yeah.
10 questions in my head. So have there ever been parents that come and you go, no, you're not a good fit for our agency? Have you had to turn people away?
Well, for whatever reason, we, what's wonderful about owning your own agency, and personally have gone through this, and Julie's been doing this, for almost 12 years. We want to help couples and individuals who who are kind and who are very thoughtful and sensitive and know are going to treat their surrogate well. That doesn't mean that they have to be heavily involved. There's all different levels of involvement.
Right.
But if we just, for whatever reason, if we don't feel comfortable, it's like any business that it's we might not be the right agency for you, or
The right fit, yeah.
they might want a large agency and they might be looking for something else. We are very hands-on with our process.
Personable.
We're very personable, and some might not want that approach.
So do they always have a relationship with the surrogate? Is that required for you guys? Or some people
No, they need to meet each other, ideally be great, because it helps the surrogate. We've heard this over the years. The more connection and awareness and understanding she has of the couple, when it comes time, the birth process, it just makes it so much more comfortable and
Right.
easier. And
Because do the majority of parents opt to be like in the delivery room? Is that kind of like,
Absolutely.
what is it?
Wow.
Is it like a percentage of like 99%?
I would
of
say
people?
about 99%. Sometimes culturally, there's certain cultures that feel that they're intruding on the surrogate if they are in the delivery room, so
Okay.
they'll choose not to.
So has there ever been a moment where a surrogate changes her mind?
You mean like keeps the baby?
Yeah.
Wants it? No.
No.
She's like,
No, we
You've
don't.
never had a surrogate that
Not once pregnant.
Really?
No,
I would never
absolutely
want
not.
to. Like,
No.
just when you meet them and you hear their story, oh my gosh, my heart. And I can't share the pictures of the births with the parents holding their baby, but if you saw them, you'd be like, oh, I can see why you do this.
Yeah.
That moment when they get to
because
hold their
I
baby
could
is
see
like-
that as being a panic for a mom, for the mom.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, is she going to fall in love with this baby?
right.
That's the first question we
Yeah,
always get.
like that for me.
And how do you
is-
answer that question? How do you set people's minds at ease? Because I know what I would say. I know like how I think of it.
with so many different answers. I mean, first of all, we've been doing it for a long time and have
Right.
this experience. They can't keep the baby because we have a legal contract
Right.
in place.
Okay.
And they know from the very beginning,
Right.
this is not my baby, this is not my biology. If they wanted more children, they would have more children.
Yeah.
They don't need to have someone
Take
else's
someone
child.
else's. Yes.
Right,
yes.
and the women that are surrogates are so kind and loving and compassionate, and
to give of themselves
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
way.
Well, how
they
about
have to use it
parents?
to
Have
be-
they ever changed their mind? Have you ever had a couple say, you know what, we don't want to do this?
Nope, absolutely
But
not.
thank God.
But I get asked that, and I remember asking Stacy, who used to do the surrogate intake when I applied. I remember asking her that and thinking,
Like, is it a possibility that I might have
what
an extra
happens?
child?
Like, I don't want this baby to get placed. And she just kind of laughed at me, and I was like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you wouldn't believe how many, now that I do her old job, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe how many people have asked me
Yeah,
that.
you figure,
I
you
get
know.
it, but they put so much effort and money into trying to have
Yeah.
a baby
Right.
and not
Well,
walking
it was
away.
and I'll never forget with my second surrogate, I remember she delivered her and she was holding her and it was probably about 24 hours later, she looked at me, she's like, can I tell you something? And I was like, what? She was like, I feel so amazing and I don't feel sad at all. Like, I'm looking at her thinking like I feel like I should want her, and at the same time, there's nothing more than I want to see her in your arms,
Yes.
and that's what we hear mostly at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your question, though, it's pretty much, I think 90% of the time, the first question we get is she going to want to, is the surrogate want to
Right.
keep
Yeah.
the baby?
Yeah, I
No,
think
thank
that's
you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I know.
even
No,
if the
good.
so even if it it's in the contract. So let's say that a surrogate's pregnant, she's carrying a child, and something happens to the intended parents. So say they were in an accident and
Yeah,
they both
that's
pass
a good-
away.
yeah.
It's in the agreement. She has no legal rights to that child.
Wow.
They have guardianship paperwork. They
Oh,
have it in
wow.
place. Who will then
So you
assume
all
responsibility?
have really thought it through. Like, you go through the gamut. That's really interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you
That's really smart.
and
That's-
I want to talk about the legal part of it, because a lot of people don't think about it. The legal stuff that has to go into it. There has to be a contract,
Yeah.
and this is going to
Absolutely.
protect all parties involved. It's going to protect the surrogate. It's going to protect the family. But yeah, I didn't even think
And the
about
agency.
that. And the
And the
agency, about if the parents pass away, God forbid. But you've really thought of all of that.
That's the attorneys we work with. They're family formation attorneys.
Okay.
And they have, it's what, about 40-page
47.
contract or so.
Wow.
Julie's read a lot of
Wow.
them.
Yeah.
You know, just puts it all in there, lays it all out.
And are the
So-
attorneys contracted by you? Who pays for that? Do the potential parents have do they have to seek their own legal counsel? Can they get them through you?
The couples pay for the attorneys. We typically refer attorneys that we've worked with that work in the same way that we work, who are really compassionate, who are really in this for the right reason.
Gotcha.
And
What is,
that's
in case of a miscarriage, what happens there? Like if the surrogate has a miscarriage?
Do you mean like
We
you
s-
try again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
You can,
they
yeah.
do again?
Absolutely. So most surrogates enter their contract willing to try at least 3 times with the same couple.
Oh, okay.
So say Julie had a first transfer with the embryo and it didn't work, she would try again. Say the second time it took, but she unfortunately had a miscarriage at 10 weeks. If the doctor thought she was still a good candidate, and the intended parents wanted her to try again, then she absolutely could try again if she was open to it.
So it's kind of like a organic type of thing where you can kind of decide, or is it in the contract that it's up to 3 and then it's
well, it's
but
in the
before
contract,
then-
but you can't force anyone to do anything.
Right.
You know, that's part of it. It's like it's the same thing with termination. If there is something wrong with the embryo, there's a genetic issue that we then discover, even though it's in the contract that there is termination, you cannot force someone to terminate a
Oh,
pregnancy.
wow.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
everyone
interesting.
agrees to it up front, you sign it.
So these are all conversations that everyone needs to have.
Absolutely.
The parents need to have it with each other,
Right.
and then you guys are having it with the surrogates. Now I want to ask about the surrogate and in terms of legal, who does the surrogate have the opportunity? You as a surrogate, did you have the opportunity once you receive the contract? I imagine the contract comes from the attorneys that the parents have hired.
I have my own attorney.
So then you have your
Yep.
own attorney,
Yep.
and you have someone that can look over that contract, because obviously everyone wants to make sure that everyone's best interest is in. And so is that something that you recommend? Like, I think people need to understand that too, that everybody in the process needs to have someone looking out for their best
And
interest.
that's
Right.
what's so important, especially when, of course, this is an expensive process. So when people are trying to do this independently, or they have a family member that said, "Oh, I'll carry," or a friend, it is still extremely important that everybody is represented by an attorney and that there is still
Right.
some sort of contract involved,
Right.
because there's too much at stake. There's too much that can happen in this process.
Right.
And that's why an agency is also so important to make sure before any issues can come up that all of
Right.
this stuff is talked about. And it's extremely important.
So how long is the process from the time that the parent comes and says, I want to use a surrogate, and then the egg and the sperm? Like, how long is that whole process? Because it's just not 9 months.
No.
This relationship is not a 9. It's not, oh, she's having my baby in 9 months.
Yeah,
No.
well, Julie's a good example
Yeah.
because so most of the time when intended parents start looking for a surrogate, they have their embryos ready to go.
Oh, they do.
They
Okay, so
do
they've
most of the
already.
time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they've already done that part.
They've done that part, which that part
And they're
can,
frozen.
They're usually
Yeah.
frozen.
and that
yes.
can be a few months process depending on how the intended parent stimulates, or do they need an egg donor? So that's a few months of a process. So by the time they get to us, they're knee deep in it, probably 4 or 5 months, if
Oh,
not more.
Okay.
Plus their years of struggling, of course.
Sure. Oh, wow.
And then once they match with a surrogate, that can take a few weeks. It could take a few months. It sort of depends on what they're looking for with a surrogate. If she gets pregnant on the first try, then it's another 10 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
If they don't,
So,
it can be.
Do
Just
they
a
get to
linear
meet?
process.
Okay, so is there a book where they look through and say, I like her, I
I know,
like her?
right?
Yeah. How does that work for the couple?
Well, I guess it depends on the type of surrogacy that you're looking for, because you mentioned that you do both. So you do one where they have their own eggs, and then do you also, as an agency, work with couples that say, listen, we've tried infertility, we don't have any frozen eggs, we have viable sperm, but obviously something's not working, we are going to need an egg donor and we're going to need a surrogate.
We we don't do egg donation ourselves.
Okay.
We're just a
Just
surrogacy
gestational.
agency,
Yes.
Yeah.
but we work with a lot of egg donor agencies, and so we refer them to the egg donor agencies, and we work with a lot of gay couples who obviously don't have eggs, so they go and they look for eggs.
So that's another agency, and I think that's where the book comes in.
Yeah.
So then that's where they open up a book, and then they're looking through the book. You have to see pictures because obviously you want to see.
No, but even still, if Robert and I go to them and say, I want to see who you have, I want to meet her.
Okay, so
if I don't
could.
like her, I want to
So-
meet somebody else.
Right. So we used to have a website, and we would post pictures up our available surrogates. We don't do it that way anymore. They go too fast.
Oh, wow.
You know, if you put a good candidate up there, it takes too much time for us to do that. And the way we like to work is we like to meet the intended parents. So if you came to us with your husband, we would spend at least an hour on the phone with you, hopefully meet you for coffee or lunch, get to know you a little bit, and we would understand your personality and what you're looking for.
Okay.
And you have a strong personality, so we need a surrogate that can really, can
manage
really
me.
handle that.
Lord have mercy.
Just, I mean,
I'll be
it
like, what
really
did you
works
eat
that
today?
way. Some people are really
Well,
shy and
Right.
they're very young. They don't have a
Yeah.
voice, a real strong
Right,
voice
right.
yet. So Nicole and I are very careful about who we put together.
Yeah,
you
you
know,
wouldn't
we're not
want to
perfect
put
at it, but-
a strong personality with somebody that's their first time or something like that, because this one's going to be calling every 5 minutes, like you said. What'd you eat
Potentially.
today?
Did you take a
that's
nap?
what
Yeah.
our role is, why
Right.
you would hire us as an agency, because we can really intervene in that. You know, we can really help make that process really smooth. So that's one of the things that we, see as our role.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk to the surrogate about money. You're going to talk to us about
Right.
money. You're not going to talk to her about, insurance. You're going to talk to us about insurance.
Right.
So that you can just focus on creating the
So
child
you
together.
do the matching. You guys
Yeah.
are probably experts at that.
And
go,
then,
okay.
and then you say, okay, so do you give them like options? Do you say we have
Absolutely.
3 surrogates that we think would be a good fit for you, and then do they meet, or what is the process from there?
So we'll present them with the candidates. They'll take a look and they'll say, "Oh, Julie sounds fantastic," and then the intended parents are filling out their own profile that we present to the surrogate. So it's not just intended parents having the choice. It's really up to the surrogate who she wants to help.
Oh, wow.
So it works both
You can
ways.
say no.
Yes.
can
She
ask-
could be like, that one is too crazy for me. Check.
Wow,
They usually
that's
don't swipe down
interesting.
until too far in, but
That's
Swipe left.
well, that's good. I mean, because that's fair. That's fair on
Yes.
both sides.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's really, really
That's
Do
not
we
smart.
have any
how every
questions?
agency
No, we have a
is.
lot of comments. Jen Olson,
Oh.
Jessica Pruitt, Wendy Skurlock, Michelle Romero, Jen Olson again. Does anybody
These are
know?
our surrogates.
some of our surrogates.
Oh, okay. Thanks for watching, Danielle McClintock, Christina Bronx. Is that
Oh,
your
it's my
sister?
sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And our spouses obviously chiming in.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, we don't need to. Okay, so
They want
then.
more kids.
No.
Well, I
After this
do.
weekend, neither do
I
I.
actually thought about being a foster mom, and then my whole family was like, "We can't do that. They take the kids away. You know,
It's attached. Yeah, I do need, since my sister's watching, I do need you to move down here so that I can get my fix, like 1 or 2 days, and then I can be like,
you want to be the grandma.
yes, yes,
Like, here, take them away.
yes, yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
'cause it's
you
exhausting.
mentioned cost. Is how expensive is it? And also, okay, this sounds weird. Let's say I want twins. So can that happen?
That's a good
Well,
question.
can it, I mean, so again, I'm using you as an example.
Sure, no, that's fine. I'm cool with it.
You come to us and you say, "Oh, I really want to have twins. How much is this all going to cost? I don't really understand this." The surrogate would have to agree to transferring 2 embryos and be in agreement to carry twins.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a lot on a person's body.
Nicole and I are going to share
Okay.
profiles with you of women who said, "I would be willing to carry twins."
Because
Right.
not everyone is open to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
for sure.
there have been situations where we have one right now where they put in 1 embryo and it actually split.
See?
Oh,
So
interesting.
God had
yes,
another
we're just in the
plan.
beginning stages of that one.
Wow.
But it
So how
can't-
do you
that can't
handle
happen.
that? I mean,
She has to carry it. They're in the same sack. So
Oh my God.
And we do talk about that, so she knows and again, the chance of it splitting is, we're not doctors, but I think
Right.
what is
2%
it?
was what they told us.
Wow.
So, but if it does split, are you okay carrying twins? Because you can't reduce, and most surrogates say, yeah, of course.
so
Not
that is a
thinking it's gonna
conversation
happen.
that you have going
Absolutely.
into it as being a surrogate.
Yes.
They have
So-
checked off all the boxes.
Listen,
Guys,
I
you
love
want
it.
surrogate agency? This is the one to have.
Yes.
So
My
in terms
goodness.
of money, it's anywhere. We kind of give a
broad average.
Yeah.
between $110,000 to $150,000,
Right.
all in. That includes the legal,
Everything.
the medical,
Right.
the insurance. the delivery, that it just includes.
So does insurance
Yeah, I
cover
was just
that?
gonna say, like who pays for the
Yeah.
delivery
Oh, gosh.
of the
Nope.
baby and stuff like that? Because it's technically it is your baby, but
yeah, like what's the role of insurance?
yeah.
So the surrogate has her own insurance that's used throughout the pregnancy.
Okay.
Whether, and that can be a whole another 5-hour conversation about insurance. But so some surrogates have insurance that can be used, some don't.
Because
Wait a minute,
maybe
but
they're
are we
working?
paying? Wait, yeah,
Yes.
are we
So-
paying for their insurance?
Yes, intended parent. If the surrogate does not have insurance through her employer or her husband's employer, then the intended parents are paying the monthly premium.
Okay, so here's a question.
Yeah.
So how about if I want her to go to my doctor?
Well, it depends
It
on where she
depends.
lives, and
Oh.
then when you let's
Wait a
say
minute, so you use out of state?
Oh,
the
absolutely.
surrogates live everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, wait.
In the United States.
Her mind just went.
Yes,
Right,
no, I
right.
need to be with my surrogate like day in and day
that
out.
would be
That's
something-
your requirement.
Right.
Oh my
This
goodness.
is why
She
God
wants
gave you the
twins.
ability to carry
She wants
your own
twins, and she wants him to live close by.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that's
See,
already
I'm like,
starting.
I
She's
have
gonna
a
move her
list.
in.
Yeah,
Which
listen.
we all do. If we could move them
if
in
I
and put a
could,
bubble around them, we would.
if I could, I would.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
I
interesting.
see.
So
That's
then the
very
insurance-
fascinating.
So say the woman is working, she's having a job, and she just loves to be pregnant. I do know people who actually love to be pregnant. I was not one of them, so God bless you. And all
Yeah,
of the
neither was I.
surrogates
That's
listening
great.
out there, y'all are doing God's work for
Yep.
real. But so she's working, she has her own insurance. Do they run into problems with the insurance in that aspect? Because she's technically pregnant, but she's not. I mean, do you have to say I'm not pregnant with my baby as somebody else? Like,
Well, so over the years, the insurance companies have gotten more savvy. So there are certain
Interesting.
policies out there that have different language that they put in it, which that's why
Wow.
we have insurance agents that we work with that assist our intended parents
Okay.
going through everything.
and the surrogates
With the
to make sure
surrogate,
that like if
yes.
you're going to be using your insurance, is it going to fully cover
Exactly.
you? Because day of that you go into delivery, you don't want them to be like, yeah, sorry, we're not covering you, or
Exactly.
the intended surrogate to end up with a crazy bill that really then they would
We won't.
probably
And
have
that's
to, yeah.
why agencies
Wow.
are so important, with this process, because
Right.
Yes.
those are the stories you hear. Oh my God, a surrogate was just left with a $10,000 bill, and where are the
Wow.
intended parents? There's no money in account. So those,
So
Yes.
do
Those
the
are the crazy
intended
stories.
parents have to prove that they can afford this?
We do it a little bit differently. Some agencies do require proof. We have a trust account. We ask that they put money into it, either a trust or an escrow account
smart.
that will
Very good, yeah.
cover
Smart.
the
That's
surrogacy
very smart.
payments.
And then the surrogate
So-
gets paid through.
Ex-
She gets
Exactly.
paid through
Yeah.
that.
and it has to be funded before a transfer occurs.
That's
so
excellent.
they are protected.
Smart.
Yes. Can we talk about payment? Can we talk about like how much it is, how much you make as a potential? Like if someone's watching and they're like, I love being pregnant. That is so
I will
wonderful."
carry for you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and or do you get people that are like, listen, I had a baby and I know I can carry a baby and I just want some money, like
Yeah, like how do you kind of
weed it
decipher?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
which
just
is
gonna
a
say
good
it, like,
intended.
yeah.
There's a lot of paperwork involved,
Okay.
just to even get them to the point where we're willing to share,
Okay.
with an intended parent.
Got it.
And typically, over the years, this is what we found, is the women that think it was so easy for me to be pregnant and I'm just going to carry a baby for somebody,
Right.
they drop out
Mm.
before we get too far.
Wow.
Because they don't realize how much is involved in it. I mean, there's yeah.
Oh
yeah,
wow,
there's
that's
a
good
lot.
though,
And
because
you're-
that way people are
Yes.
serious.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
you can't. This is what we tell the intended parents. They aren't just doing this for the money, because there's so much more involved. in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody
Can we
wanting to
answer
do
the
this
money
for the money.
question then?
Sure.
Listen, there are people that might be doing it.
Well,
for
not
money.
in their agency.
Well, I'm just
Well,
saying, not
no,
in,
there could-
but
no,
in
no,
the
no,
world.
you know what?
Because there are women selling eggs, like
Well, yeah,
on the
that's
internet.
true.
You know,
So
we always say someone, intended parents will be like, well, why are they surrogate? Are they just doing it for the money? And we
Yes.
always say, you know what, the money helps.
Sure.
Whatever they're using it for. You are paying them for something, such a huge thing that they're doing for you, and
Right.
it absolutely helps. So if it's about the money, maybe it is, maybe it isn't for some of our surrogates. But again, whatever their reason, they're still doing an amazing thing, and
Sure.
that money is going to help their family as well.
And they
Yes.
use the money. So a base fee, again, depending on where they live or if they have insurance, but a base fee is between $35,000 and $40,000
For
That-
first
for a
time
first time surrogate.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Does it
And
go?
then
Is it?
experienced surrogates kind of can set their own rate.
Oh, wow.
So anywhere up
Wow.
to
That's
50,
good.
52, you know, just
It just
depending.
depends.
Wow.
Depending. And if an intended
good.
parent's willing to pay for that. So, we a lot of our surrogates use the money to educate themselves.
Right.
We have
Yeah.
one right now who's
Yeah.
using it to go to nursing school.
Yeah.
Sometimes they use the money to put a down payment on a house,
Yeah.
or to
Pay
save
off
for their
loans.
children's
Yeah.
college.
Yeah. Now, is it required? I don't know if we answered this question. Is it required that you have had to already be pregnant
Absolutely.
and have children?
Have had
Yep.
live
At least
births.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Live births.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And like, do you require like a full medical history, you as the agency or the physicians that you work with?
Oh, so before, that's one of the requirements before, as far as our screening process, we have a whole slew of things that we go through as far as screening surrogates. And that is part of it is collecting all their medical records, sharing those with the doctor of the intended parent to make sure that they're a good candidate to be a surrogate before taking the next steps.
So
Do the parents get to see that at all ever?
No.
It's all still private.
It's just with the doctor.
okay, so let's say there's a person, a candidate in Colorado. How do you guys then meet that person, the surrogate? Like, do you meet them in person ever?
We do. We do a lot
we
of
do.
Skype interviews. I mean,
Okay.
that was how we met Julie
Oh,
was via
okay.
Skype.
Oh, okay.
A lot of times, if people refer us, they're referring. One of our experienced surrogates was referring a friend. We have people do home visits if they live close by. We had another surrogate who lives in Colorado who did a home visit for us of one of our applicants. So people that we know and trust. Obviously, we meet them when they come for the medical screening, or we go, if, say, the medical screening is in Northern California, we fly up there to meet them.
Oh, wow, okay.
So we at least have had one, face-to-face
Face-to-face.
interaction.
Yeah.
So then, so then you guys do intended parents around the country?
Yes. And
Around the world.
Around the world?
Oh, yeah.
Dang!
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness.
There are people everywhere that want
Wow.
babies.
Okay,
Because
so
most
you...
countries, it's not illegal to have a surrogate. In California and a
really?
lot of our surrounding West Coast states and some Midwest states is very surrogacy friendly. So a lot of
Interesting.
intended parents come here for a number of reasons.
Wow.
One, because the surrogacy friendly laws. Also, the amazing doctors that are
Sure.
in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so on birth certificates, I want to ask this question real quick before we run out of time. Who is listed on the birth certificate since the woman giving birth is at the hospital? I don't want to call her the birth mother.
You know, the
But,
intent.
yeah,
the
like,
intent. So as
do
long
you let
as
the hospital know that ahead of time? Like,
Absolutely.
is there the hospital's already chosen
Yep.
where you're going to deliver? So everything is pretty much laid out, mapped out.
Yep.
Oh my
I have a
God,
question
love it.
online here. It says, is there life insurance on the surrogate should her life be endangered through the
Oh,
pregnancy?
That's a good question.
Yes, there's a $350,000 policy.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
the intended parents pay for that, and her family is the beneficiary.
Oh,
Surrogate's
wow.
family.
Oh, my
Wow.
goodness.
But
I'm-
then what happens? Well, then I guess you as a parent don't get your baby though either if the mother dies. Like she's in a car accident. I mean, it's not really anybody's fault.
Well, in my contract, it says that I will stay on life support until the baby is viable.
Oh wow.
And then my husband gets to make the decision what to do with me afterwards.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. So you guys have really thought it through,
The
like
attorneys
everything.
are-
The
Yeah.
attorneys, the
Yes.
doctors, the doctors talk about this with the surrogates
Yeah.
when they had the first meeting with them.
Mhm.
And they, this is it's one of the things that we try to explain to intended parents.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's their God-given right to have a child, and so there's so much disappointment with, again, unless it's a gay couple that come in, they've had all this, all these years of experience, and the financial. A lot of insurances don't cover IVF,
Yes.
and they want this process to be easy, graceful, and cost the littlest amount of money possible. But we're dealing with human beings
Yeah.
and human bodies, and
Yeah.
we don't make promises. The doctors don't make promises. The attorneys, the surrogate can't make a promise.
Yeah. So I think the main takeaway is that really do your homework, your research. I think it's important if you're going to go down this road to spend the money to use a reputable agency. And I think the fear of, oh, this person, the baby is gonna, the mother's gonna want to keep it. I think there's a possibility. We didn't even get a chance to touch on that when it is the mother's egg. And I know that there are, I'm sure, agencies or places or whatever that you can go through that, they think that's maybe the only option. And to me, I feel like that type of surrogacy that's a very slippery slope. I would not ever want to be involved in anything like that. And I don't know, maybe you as a surrogate could say, because to me that would be hard. It would be my egg. I think there you would have more of an attachment to the baby if it was your egg and someone else's.
The surrogate's egg.
Yes. And so I think in that, maybe that is how it used to be a long time ago, like when you think surrogacy started. Like, do you think that was just kind of like the only option? Is that where the misconception comes from in our society?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I think a lot of people, if they financially can afford it, would choose an egg donor and a surrogate versus doing traditional surrogacy, because then they're not dealing with the biology of the carrier.
Yeah.
So
so I think you just take the biology out of it completely, and I think that's to me that's the biggest takeaway that I want everyone to know is that. The majority of people that you see going through surrogacy, it is not the same biology. It is not that surrogate's egg that they're carrying. Ideally, it's going to be the egg and the sperm of someone else. And I just look at it like you're the oven carrying this very precious bun.
One girl say once when I was interviewing some girls, she said, "I'm just the Uber driver taking the baby where it needs to go." I thought, oh, you're such a millennial. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay, I have another question
That's
on
great,
here, and
though.
this is for Julie Stromwell. The question is for Julie. What do you want for dinner, Adam?
That's so cute. Ribs, but don't mess them up this time.
And shout out to the
Start
husbands,
smoking
too.
those ribs.
Like, the
Yeah.
husbands
Yeah,
of the
absolutely.
surrogate.
Well, the whole family,
Every-
the whole
yes,
family
entire
that
family.
gets invested in this, because
Yes.
mommy is pregnant again, so
Yes.
that puts
But it doesn't have
changes.
to always be a married woman that wants to be a surrogate. She can be a single person, whatever.
as long as they have support.
Support, like a supportive family or
Friends, community.
Oh, I love
amazing.
it. I think this agency.
I think-
listen,
yeah.
I'm gonna do like a whole. Like, I think you guys are amazing. I think you've checked off every single box. Like you said, you've done your homework for yourself and for everyone out there that's in this potential position. Because again, I didn't even think of some of these things.
Okay, before we go, what are the misconceptions about surrogacy that you want to let people know? Clear up.
In
Is there
30
anything that you
seconds.
go, people say this and it's just so wrong?
Oh, can I say what I get
Yes.
asked? I get asked this, and I was certain one of you was going to ask. So thank you for asking. I get asked, "How can you just give a baby away?" And it kills me because I'm not giving.
It's not your baby.
Baby
It's not
away. I'm
yours,
giving a baby back. So I get asked that all the time. And I just think it's important to know, again, like some of the girls that I talk to who are interested in surrogacy, make sure you tell your friends and family the difference between, as you guys have said, gestational surrogacy and traditional surrogacy.
Yeah.
Right.
And that it's not your baby to keep. Like,
It's not
man,
yours.
I don't,
yeah.
I don't-
So traditional means it's her egg with the dad's sperm, and that's how that happens. Gestational is the intended parent's egg and sperm already put together via in vitro.
And are there still
Correct.
people
IVF, correct?
doing a lot of traditional surrogacy?
I have quite a few friends that do it, but it's mostly Canada.
It might
A
be
lot of
cheaper. Is
Canada.
it cheaper?
It is
Yeah, I was
cheaper.
gonna say it's
Absolutely
cheaper
cheaper.
because you have to
Yeah.
do IVF, and that's a lot
Well,
of money.
well,
You
expensive.
still
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like how the baby's made. It's usually still made in a.
you're still either
Right,
doing
exactly,
an IUI
exactly.
or IVF,
Yeah.
so that still can add
Yeah.
to the cost.
Yeah.
Well, this has
Clear
been
that up.
very
So,
enlightening.
hopefully
I have
you
learned
understand.
so much today.
Hopefully you understand that it's not the same DNA.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
I
As
have
long
been
as we got
informed
that.
today and educated. I am clear. I am clear that if I ever do this, which I won't, Robert, relax. He's like on here making all kind of comments. But this has been so wonderful because I had a
Yes.
lot of things in my head going, how does this work? And you give,
Yes.
the baby and her DNA and it's going to really look
no
like me?
DNA transfer. So I think
That's
do your
fantastic.
homework.
I guess I learned the difference between gestational and traditional. I didn't,
Yes.
I didn't have that clear in my head, and that I learned that today. That's great.
Yeah,
It's
fantastic.
fantastic.
Thank you guys
ladies,
for
for
taking the
being
time
here.
to
This
come
is
here.
awesome, and all these people are just saying wonderful things on.
That's great.
Yeah,
Facebook.
It's
Clarissa
such a pleasure
Cornwell.
to do this work, and to help people become parents.
Yes.
Yeah, I can
which is one
only
of the
imagine.
greatest joys in my life, and to be able to give back in that way.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Well, again, if you
Yes.
guys want to know more, it's on www.abcsurrogacy.com.
Yes.
Get all the information and then some. I'm sure someone will contact you. This has been a wonderful, enlightening show.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
We hope you guys have been informed, educated, and entertained. I'm sure you have. Join us next Monday here on LA Talk Radio Live.
Have a great week.
Woohoo.
Bye.
You're listening to Table for Five with Felicia and Annette, only on LA Talk Radio.